Okay guys, today we are going to talk about VIT, V-I-T, the dry season. It's going to be released through Handshake Incorporated. The group is a US black metal and doom metal group. The press release mentions that they are apparently an ancient cult from Swansylvania. And obviously Swansylvania is made up. They're actually from Canal, Winchester, Ohio. Yeah, this is a US black metal band that we're working with here, and it's actually, for US black metal, it's really not that bad. The press release compared them to Barghest and Watain. I don't really see the Watain in it. Barghest, I can understand musically, as far as some of the music goes. Vocally, not quite as much. I haven't heard a lot of Barghest, but as far as I remember, their material, the vocals are usually pushed further in the background, whereas VIT has the vocals more in the forefront. This group does contain members of Satyr and Aphrenous, A-P-H-R-E-N-O-U-S. Not sure if I'm saying it right. I'm going by the best I can with the pronunciation. They formed back in 2006, and in 2010 they issued a self-released EP that was simply Dash. So that came out 2010. It met with some pretty good praise. And now it's 2013 and they're releasing a brand new EP, The Dry Season. And I won't waste any time. The production on this honestly reflects the title of the album, The Dry Season. The whole thing is pretty dry. But it's not bad. It clearly has a modern production, but it's very dry. Has a slightly rough tone to it. But you can tell it was a modern recording studio that they went into. The guitars are toned down. They are sharp, but they're toned down in volume, and they're not quite as high in pitch or range like some traditional black metal bands would have it. The bass is actually very loud, and that's common for sort of a doom metal style. I really enjoyed the heavy bass presence, and it's actually pretty dominant in the songs. That's the most important instrument throughout many of these tracks. There's only 4 total, and the album comes to 28 minutes, so, you know, it's just another EP, but it's considered full length because of how close it is to 30 minutes, I guess. The cymbals of this were the biggest problem. The snares and all of them, they had a hollow sound to them. There wasn't really an echo, but they were kind of hollow, still kind of tight. The bass kicks had a very... It wasn't a strong click, it was borderline thud, but, you know, it was enough to really make a difference between the two sounds. But the cymbals themselves are washed out, and they're washed out pretty bad. And the cymbals are the loudest part of the kit, unfortunately. So it really doesn't help. It doesn't really hurt the release in any way, but you can really pick up on that washout sound. It really does affect the quality, which is actually really, really sad. The vocals have more of a deeper rasp to them. Like, when I say deeper, I mean lower in pitch, not sort of guttural raspiness of some kind, if you can even consider that. Yeah, it's just a very dry recording. You can tell it was a lower budget thing, but it was still done in a modern studio. It does sound pretty good for what they're doing. I will give them that. It's, I can't even really think of what to compare it to, honestly. I tried, and I just couldn't. It's not like they were going for a raw black metal sound. It sounds like they're kind of meeting in between, but more so a higher quality. But overall, the production itself does a good job. The music sounds really good with it. And like I said, there's 4 songs here. The only thing is, only 2 of them are actually true songs. 2 of them are instrumentals, but I'll get to them in a bit. The first track is 16 Bodies. The pace, it really does cater more to a doom metal approach. It's very slow. Towards the end, I think around the 7-minute mark, it does pick up a little bit, but only for a short amount of time. It just becomes really catchy, like out of nowhere. It's not that much faster, but noticeable. And then around the 8-minute mark, it slows down even more than usual, than how it was. But just very crushing atmosphere through much of the song. Lasts about 10 minutes. And there's just enough variety throughout it, considering the doom metal pace, that it really does grab your attention. And again, the bass plays a pivotal role in this. That's the thing that really kept me going. And as it goes along, it eventually does kind of shift into a droning sound with the way the bass and the drums are going. The cymbals can kind of pull you out of the trance-like state that it can cause, but I mean, it really will. It really can hypnotize you. You can just lay back and let it just overcome you. I loved that about this song. I thought it was really impressive with that. Yeah, the cymbal washout really does hurt it, though. But overall, this is a fantastic track. I really wish that this album had just been composed of songs like 16 Bodies, but it's not. The next song pushed well past the 10-minute mark. It was A Hymn of Benediction. And it's a faster track. It really does show some second-gen black metal influence. It is pretty catchy at first, and then it just kind of shifts again. But the thing is, the shifts in the music can be kind of awkward, especially in the drumming. They could be really sudden, and then the drumming will just seem a bit off, either in timing or just the pattern. Because one minute you got a catchy rhythm going, and the next minute you're going like, you got that going, that kind of beat, and it just doesn't seem to match the pace of the song quite right. But as the song progresses, it gets better. The timing a little more intricate, especially towards the end. The only way I can really sum up the way the music shifts is it takes on a bit of a folk approach, but kind of a Slovakian, I guess you would say, kind of thing. Like, I can't even think of some of the bands. I guess Arcona is the one that's coming to mind. I'm not sure if that's really who I should be comparing it to, though, but it just sounds like, not Middle Eastern, but like one of those, like, for lack of a better reference, like a Transylvania kind of terrain. It sounds like something you would expect to hear at a wedding. It just gets so upbeat, fast-paced, the timing is a lot tighter. To be perfectly honest, even though the regional aspect kind of sounds like that, it felt like I was at, not a brisk, I felt like I was at a Jewish celebration of some kind. I forget the term, I didn't write it down, unfortunately. I figured I would know it because it's common knowledge to me. I've heard it so many times. Not a brisk... either way, when the boy turns into a man, basically, by Jewish law, religion, standards, whatever you want to call it. Like, I just wanted to keep going, hey, throughout the entire part where it picks up. That's exactly what I thought it was. If you could figure out what I'm talking about. It sounds like they're introducing keyboards and like a violin or a fiddle and other instruments like that. It sounds really good. The shift is actually done quite well. It feels natural to the song, especially considering the progressing folk influence that hits from the keyboard towards, I think, like the 7-minute mark. Yeah, it's just quite a different experience all around by the end of the song. And again, this is a fantastic track. I really loved it. I just kind of wish 16 Bodies, again, I wish there were more songs like that, because this one really did just kind of drop the doom metal aspect and kind of just go on a experimental black metal approach. And that's not bad. I don't mind some experimental black metal, but I really like the black and doom metal start of the album. So, next up, like I said, there's 2 instrumentals. I'm sorry, not 2 instrumentals, actually. I'm thinking the wrong thing. The title track, The Dry Season, it's not an instrumental. It's forgettable. I hate to say it. The song is barely 4 minutes. It's upbeat. Starts off with an acoustic sound, and by the end it has a storm effect over it. No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. That's actually And the Rain That Soon Followed. I'm really out of my league here. That one is the instrumental. I'll get to that one later. The Dry Season, like I said, is very catchy and melodic. It does have a sinister atmosphere to it that I really appreciated. It really did throw back to the early second-generation black metal sound. But again, it's under 4 minutes. And honestly, it just fades out too soon. It feels like there's more to the track, and it just doesn't hit. You're getting a lot of catchy material out of nowhere, upbeat, I don't know. It was decent for what it was. But like I said, it's kind of forgettable. As you can tell, I actually kind of forgot what it was while I'm doing this. Compared to 16 Bodies and a Hymn of Benediction. And now, like I said, the last track was And the Rain That Soon Followed. And this was an instrumental, actually carries over from the atmosphere and the storm effects at the end of a Hymn of Benediction. And it plays off that as its own song. It carries the acoustic chords that start off a Hymn of Benediction. And actually that song ends with the acoustic as well. And like I said, it bleeds into this song. Storm effects are carried over. And one thing that the press release mentioned is that this EP supposedly includes the Swansylvania Bluegrass Ensemble. And at the very end of the song, it really does go into bluegrass. And it's really catchy for what it is. Again, feeding into the experimental black metal element more than the black metal and doom metal sound. I mean, it's not bad. As someone who grew up a redneck, it's pretty catchy. And it's pretty well done. So I'll give that to them. Again, it's under 4 minutes. It's not long. It's a nice closing, but really this EP basically is just 16 Bodies and a Hymn of Benediction. Those are the only two that really matter, and that's... Thankfully, they make up a good majority of the EP, whereas the other two maybe equal one song in full length compared to these two. So you gotta look at it that way. But what you do get are two astounding tracks that really do have a great... that really are quality black metal. I mean, one is black metal doom metal, the other is an experimental black metal track. So you get two excellent songs. Third one, not so much. The fourth, the closer, is just okay. There's nothing bad about this album outside of the cymbals, and obviously just the dry season being a little less memorable and a little cut out a little too early. Overall, I gotta give this an 8. I loved this EP. I didn't like it at first. It took a few spins to actually get into it, just because of the production and the cymbal issue. But if you can actually get past all that, and you can appreciate it for what it is, VIT did a fantastic job. They definitely stand out a little more than some of the bands that would put out this kind of material. It's definitely a quality release, and it's well worth checking out. So you could actually head over to Handshake Inc. .bandcamp.com. You can actually check the album out there for yourself. I believe it's streaming in full. If not, I know they have some songs that are streaming. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth picking up. This is up there on my recommendation. I gotta give it an 8. This is at least an 8. I would give it more, but again, it's just because the Dry Season song was just so short, not that great. I really do wish they kept with the black and doom metal sound on the 16 Bodies track more than anything else. But, again, VIT, Handshake Incorporated, The Dry Season, I can't express it enough. Check this EP out now.